Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking and just like that. And just like that, episode 4 was over and we're going to review it together. Before we get to the episode review, don't forget to subscribe to my channel here on YouTube and also click the join button while you're at it. Become a member today and gain access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together on Patreon. Thank you to my patrons and members who have already pledged. Thumb up the video and let me cue in my live chatters, my co-conspirators and co-reviewers. Yes, I live stream every Saturday. You're all welcome to join me. And for my live streams, that's when I pre-record all of these videos. So you get to chat with me together. And we have our wonderful co-chatters with us discussing, and just like that, episode 4. Spoiler alert. There will be spoilers. The spoiler warning will also be in the title of this video, but just reminding you again, you guys, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers up ahead. Now, I've been that person that has enjoyed the series thus far, episode 1, 2, and 3. Okay. A lot of people don't like the show. There's the Chris Noth extra added problematic that kind of kicked in later, after episode 2 or 3. With the allegations, and allegedly now a third or fourth person even came up and to talk about this, to accuse him of stuff. So, but that has nothing to do with the show. That is his private life, and that has nothing to do with his character in the show. So let's just get that out of the way and talk about episode 4. And so I said I enjoyed the show thus far, but a lot of people haven't. And interesting little tidbit and fact, because I do my research, I'm not... A lot of people are so giddy to be the first to post the review of the episode. So they watch the episode and then they got to film immediately a reaction so that on YouTube they get a better chance at getting views. But they don't give themselves the time to actually digest the episode properly, to watch it maybe 2 times or 3 times, to also listen to other people's opinions before they share their review with others. And this is a problem I have in general with a lot of critics, television critics, movie critics, theater critics, that they just want to be the first to churn out any opinion. They literally fart out whatever. And they're wrong with a lot of things. Now, opinions, fine. You could say, I personally liked it or didn't like it. But if you're going to bring in also facts, well, you need to kind of study those facts first. So what I'm going to tell you now is interesting because I waited to see and watch other people's reviews on episode 4 because I had my issues with episode 4. But in general, the show, I've noticed, has been receiving a lot of criticism. And what I've noticed, looking online, through YouTube, mostly through YouTube, because there I see the ethnicity of the people doing the reviews, what I found very, very interesting is that the people that hate the show the most are mostly white. And the more favorable reviews come from people of color. Now, that's not to say that there are people of color who don't dislike the show. There were a couple of reviewers out there that really did not like this episode or that do not like the show, but a lot are very favorable. While on the other hand, the Caucasian people, the whites, mostly hate it. And it's mostly women. White women of a certain age who feel like their show has been stolen from them. That's, I feel, the bottom line. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but when you look at who reviews the show, what they say about the show, and who they are, you get a better picture of what this criticism is really all about. And this is something that these Oompa Loompa reviewers that fart out a review right after they watch the episode and don't stop for a second to see what other people have to say, those are the type of people that are going to churn out these sensationalistic reviews that are quite negative because they still got their fucking noses up their own asses. Oh my God, I just said so many words. But then again, it is Sex and the City. Oh, there you go. YouTube's going to shadow ban me yet again because I slipped a word in. All right. But I found it fascinating because I thought to myself, episode 4 discusses a lot the racial issue. They tried to make it funny. It wasn't funny. It was just so clumsily written that it was just... But again, I thought to myself, well, as a white person, in order to review this episode, I need to see what people of color actually have to say about this episode. Because think about it this way. The showrunner of the show is a white dude. Like, I don't know. He's in his 50s and his 60s. I don't know. The lead actresses are still white. Obviously, the show was always that way, so it's not like that changed. And it's kind of like it's written from a perspective of a white person trying to make it good with all other ethnicities out there by acknowledging their flaws, but not by acknowledging their racial flaws. Racial flaws is a wrong terminology. Like acknowledging how the show did not acknowledge certain things in the past. Like they're kind of now acknowledging it as if it were forced. It just doesn't come naturally. It doesn't. So I had an issue with that, but I was wondering if anybody of color had an issue with that. And I found some really cute, interesting, positive reviews out there from people of color. So that's something to really take in account and see, okay, well, maybe something has been done right. It's been done right. Oh my God, there I go. And fascinating. So when Charlotte has the issue of inviting her newly found friend, well, I mean, they're becoming really close friends from the school, right? Where they both have kids going to the same school. She realizes, oh my God, I invited her to dinner to meet my friends, but now everybody's white, but she's black. So she tries to kind of figure out who else she could invite who's black to the dinner party. And she has this neighbor who's black who she hasn't seen in 2 years. And the neighbor clearly doesn't want to have anything to do with her. But Charlotte kind of keeps pushing and forcing, and it just becomes more and more embarrassing, the situation. And this neighbor doesn't want to come to her dinner party. She's like, hey, I got other plans. Maybe next time. Okay. Shuts the door. Carrie, really quickly moving on from Big, is like, okay, we've gone through the phase of mourning. I mean, she's still mourning. We've gone through the phase of reading the will. We cleared up what happened with Natasha. That's a done deal. I thought it was going to be a little bit more dissected in episode 4, what happened in episode 3 with Natasha. No, it's like it never happened. And now she's selling the other apartment. I personally wouldn't, but then again, it's Carrie. She's irritating AF. So I'm like, okay, of course she's going to do the worst thing she can do, just to irritate me even more. So she's going to sell that place. Fine. Now Seema comes into the game, right? Love the actress, love her vibe, she's so cool and chill. They're dressing her up as if she were Samantha. She's kind of supposed to be the new Samantha, really. That's what I'm kind of feeling. Seema is kind of the new Samantha. She's out there still dating, single. She has a sex life unlike all the other chicks in the show. Because at this point, it's like, I don't know what to tell you. And no wonder it's not called Sex in the City anymore. There's no sex in that city. So Seema is kind of the new Samantha. She's just not funny, though. I don't know. She wants to be bossy at the beginning when Seema is the realtor who's supposed to sell Carrie's and Big's condo, apartment, whatever it is. And so she's like kind of this tough lady, comes and says, I love the apartment. We got to change everything about it. Oh, love the whatever, the sleeping room. Oh, such a beautiful wallpaper. It has to go. And then she explains to Carrie, like, people are idiots when they come to buy apartments. They don't want to feel like they're not relatable to you. So we're going to make everything beige, even though Big hated beige. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. So they're kind of bonding. Carrie has this ditzy moment where Seema is in the bathroom and says, this bathroom needs a Peloton. And here we go again, dropping that freaking Peloton. So how much did Peloton pay to be mentioned in every freaking episode of this show? I don't want to know. I really don't want to know, but I do. But anyway, and then she said, but one thing I got to tell you, don't touch my shoes. Nobody's allowed to touch my shoes. I'm like, girl, oh God, whatever. So anyway, another cringe moment when she's in her old apartment where she's going to move back to. She wakes up in the morning, coffee machine is breaking down. Again, she forgot the coffee, just like she did in episode number 1. I wonder, and I couldn't help but wonder, is the dementia kicking in? Because again, the coffee, not working. Just like she forgot about the coffee in the fridge, but that's just like she forgot about the fact that Miranda asked her for the coffee in episode 1. And you know what I mean? We were talking about it in my last review, so go check that video if you want to know more about the dementia situation. Alleged dementia situation, which in this episode doesn't really come through. It didn't feel like they were hinting at something wrong with Carrie, although there's a lot wrong with her, but anyway. And so that morning she wakes up in her old apartment and she wants to go get a coffee and a croissant. And I mean, she decides to dress up like a little girl would dress up, you know, like a fairy princess on a weekend when she's home with her parents, with that long, overlong tutu dress, which is kind of like, maybe feels sad for her. It didn't look fabulous. I mean, the idea was fabulous. I get it. She's like feeling her oats again in her neighborhood, right? And she goes to the place where she gets her coffee, and the guy recognizes her and he calls her with her full name, Carolyn. I didn't even know. I thought it was just Carrie. But yeah, Carrie is the abbreviation of Caroline. He's like, Caroline, how's it going? She's like, yeah, big dead. He's like, okay, well then have the coffee for free, and here's a croissant or something for free as well. She said, thank you. A lady, that was the funniest moment of the, this is the sad part, that this was the funniest moment of this episode, because that says a lot. The lady that walked, so Carrie's with her little princess tutu dress, overdressed for a morning, grabbing a coffee, feeling her oats though, whatever, let her feel her oats. This other lady comes in and we see her throw the side eye, you know, she walks in, looks at her like, what the hell are you wearing, girl? So that was a cute little funny moment. At least they threw some shit, like at least in the show they acknowledged that she's exaggerating. Now, speaking of exaggeration, Patricia Field has thrown some serious shade at the show. Like, for real. Listen to this. So, Patricia Field, the Daily Mail reports, costume designer Patricia Field slams Miranda actress Cynthia Nixon for her fashion demands and shares her sympathy for her replacement on And Just Like That. So Patricia Field shaded Cynthia Nixon over her fashion demands after being asked about her former assistant Molly Rogers' work styling on HBO Max's And Just Like That. Patricia says, I like some of it. I don't like all of it. But I know what Molly's dealing with. Molly has a lot to deal with. The 79-year-old Oscar nominee told the Sunday Times. She continued by saying, I know those gals. Sarah Jessica Parker thinks she knows everything, and she does. Cynthia Nixon thinks she knows everything, and she doesn't. The shade. Even today, when I speak with Molly, it's about Cynthia, and I say, I remember what you are going through. The power dynamic shifted this year as the 55-year-old Emmy winner, Cynthia Nixon, earned a $10 million paycheck to executive produce, reprise her role as Miranda Hobbs, and direct the January 6th episode titled Diwali. Despite Patricia's sharp tone, she did wish Cynthia happy birthday in 2020, and she hosted 2 fundraising events in the summer of 2018 for her failed campaign for New York governor. Many might argue that And Just Like That lost its edge without Patricia Field and her bestie Kim Cattrall, who played lusty PR exec Samantha Jones in all 6 Sex and the City seasons, and the forgettable movie spin-offs. Oh my God, the Daily Mail is throwing shade like they always do. The 2-time Emmy winner gushed to Page 6 earlier this month and said, Patricia Field said, I would love to do a show with Kim Cattrall. Patricia is currently serving as costume consultant for Netflix dramedy series Emily in Paris, starring Lily Collins, which returns for a 2nd season this Wednesday. All right. Patricia Field throwing some serious shade at Cynthia Nixon. You guys, I can totally envision this because Patricia Field was more respected by them because she was there throughout all the seasons and the movies, so she had some sort of firm. But now that Molly is there styling them, you know that these women who have huge egos superstars, super scared that this new show is going to flop. Like they want it to be done perfectly, like they want it, you know, they want to have more say in the show and what they wear. It's like basically I have the feeling with Miranda in particular, I have the feeling Cynthia Nixon styled herself. She just said, I want to wear that, that, and that. And like Molly was like, oh God. All right. So Molly's just there. She's not deciding what they're going to wear. I have the feeling that poor Molly has become just an assistant to put the clothes on and off them. It's like literally Cynthia Nixon said what she wants to wear and they had to give it to her because now she's an executive producer as well. So she has even more rights and more say in the show. So, and in fact, we see the faux pas happening. I mean, Miranda going on a dinner date with her teacher, which of course is also black. So Charlotte's best friend is black. Miranda's new best friend is black. Is her black teacher. Carrie's new up and coming best friend, Seema, I wonder, I do not know which origin she has. If you guys know, I do not know which ethnicity she has, but anyway, you see what I mean? The girls are now splitting up and it's like, okay, we have to do this, you know, to make it more diverse. And this is why this is why I wanted to see reviews by also people of color, because I want to know what they think about it. Because I mean, who cares about what I think? I mean, you know, I'm just a white person who's like confused by the whole situation and happily confused though, I have to say. But so anyway, when Miranda goes on that dinner date with her teacher, she's wearing this really ugly orange overall that makes her look like a prisoner. Maybe that was the idea of like her being a prisoner of herself. I don't know. We're being dealt the stupid card again because again, the writers think that we're idiots, that we did not realize in the first 3 episodes that Miranda has a drinking problem. So now they're pushing it onto us again. But Charlotte doesn't want to address it. Like Charlotte, you know, when Charlotte, Carrie, and Miranda are having a date together, another scene in one of their lunch or dinner dates, Miranda says, let's just get a whole bottle of wine, and Charlotte says, no, this is enough, we shouldn't have any more. Then she throws a side eye at Carrie and Carrie goes like, and I'm like, just address the elephant in the room, just talk to Miranda about it. Why are you acting like a little kid that can't talk to her friend honestly about this? It's ridiculous, it makes no sense. So that was kind of silly. Charlotte doesn't throw the party after all because her friend can't come to the party. She had to cancel for some reason. But then she apologized by inviting her to her husband's birthday party, I guess. So Charlotte ends up going with her husband to her friend. I don't know her friend's name because it's an abbreviation. DLW, DWT. I forget her name because you know me, I'm super bad with abbreviations. The only one I know is LOL and ASAP. But you start abbreviating names, girl, you lost me. So anyway, her friend, so she comes to the apartment and everybody there is black. And now that we have this twist where she's the only white person there with her husband. And at the end of the episode, they have a conversation. She and her friend meet for a drink or coffee or something in the morning. And Charlotte says, oh, I have to be honest with you. Like, I have to come clean. You know, when I was organizing this dinner, I realized you would be the only black couple. I felt really bad about it. I really want to do this right. Please, you know, forgive me, blah, blah, blah. And then her friend says, no, I actually have to also, like, be honest with you. I was super worried that you would be the only white couple at my party. So it was kind of cute that the writers didn't just make it Charlotte-centric, that also her friend had the same thought process. You know, it's not just white people being privileged thinking, oh my gosh, I'm obliged to make my black friend feel comfortable. But it's also, we get notified towards the end of the episode that also the black friend felt that she also would go through a discomfort knowing that Charlotte might be the only white person at her party. So that was kind of a nicely balanced thing. Charlotte delivered at the party, protecting her friend by pointing out all the paintings that were there so that her mother-in-law would respect her more. That was a cute moment. However, am I the only one who thinks that her friend, first of all, she's the best dressed of all of them. of all of them. And I mean, of all the 6 ladies now, I mean, there's also Che, but Che doesn't want to conform as a lady, right? So of the 6 ladies, which I mean, Seema, Miranda's teacher, the abbreviation name Lady Charlotte's new friend, and then Charlotte, Miranda, and Carrie, of those 6 characters, Charlotte's friend is the best dressed, hands down, and best hair. But am I the only one who thinks that she could be the perfect villain? And because of her, like those glass ice eyes, there's something about her. She's gorgeous. You can't take your eyes off of her. But she's a villain. So her being so kind and nice always comes across so fake to me, because she has those piercing ice cold eyes, which are beautiful beyond, you fall into her eyes. But truth be told, in the first episode, when I first saw her, I was like, I don't trust her. There's something about her eyes. Is there going to be a plot twist? But no, there's not. Evidently, she's really a super nice person. But it's such a wasted opportunity, because the way that she's styled and everything is so perfect. And those eyes, she's a perfect villain. Does anybody agree with me? Am I the only crazy person here who thinks... Carrie Bradshaw, who's in the chats, what do you think? I mean, honestly, you guys. The actress who plays Seema is half English, half Indian. Okay, thank you so much, Carrie, for letting me know. Hey, Tyler, how's it going, my love? Tyler says, oh, yeah, I popped in at the right time. I watched this episode. Well done. Charlotte's friend gives me such Vanessa Williams vibes. I totally agree with you, Tyler. So she could totally give what Vanessa gave in Ugly Betty. Yeah, that type of villain. In a good way, you guys, don't get me wrong. But what could she want? Wouldn't we have established the villain's intention by now? For sure, Jack. That's what I'm telling you. It's just in the first episode, at first glance, when I saw her with her piercing ice cold eyes, first episode, when we didn't know yet who she was, immediately I thought, ooh, villain. This is going to be juicy. And I was living for it. But then they went, all vanilla on us, as Charlotte said, but a different type of vanilla than the one that Charlotte intended in the show. See, Lala says she's totally the villain. Like, she's faking nice. Yeah, I feel that too. But having said that, when the actual actress, and I've watched interviews with her and Kristen Davis, when they actually sit together giving interviews, she has different hairstyle now, differently. She looks like the sweetest person ever. She doesn't come across as a villain at all in interview situations where she's herself and not her character. But in the show, there's something about, and it's always this thing, like also when she cancels stuff, when she comes out of the school and says, Charlotte, by the way, I forgot I have to do this with the mother-in-law. Sorry, we can't make it next time, And I was like, oh my God, look at her, just walking over people to get stuff done that she wants to do. Villain. But she's not. Okay, let's address another elephant in the room. We're going to get to Stanford. But let's address the other elephant in the room, which is Carrie going to pick up Big and then taking him back to her home. And then she puts him at the top shelf, and then she says something really silly like, oh, I'm just going to leave you here for as long as I figure out where you want to be. I'm like, taking control much of the situation? Why phrase it like that? Until I figure out where you want to be. Like, they wanted to be poetic about it, but it was just cringe AF. In general, all of Carrie's jokes, I mean, she always just has no sense of humor. But in this episode, they just all backfired. With Seema, each and every one of them, Seema was like, yeah, I was on Tinder, but, all the guys were terrible. Like, they were like mommy's boys or something. And then she says, like, oh, were they too Tinder? And I was like, girl, no, don't. Don't do it, Carrie, don't do it. And then, honestly, I didn't find it offensive when she said to Seema, like, oh, it's great that you're still putting yourself out there, like, still looking for love. And then Seema, at the end of the episode, when she broke, by accident, Carrie's photo of Big. If Carrie's photo with Big was so important to her, why didn't she freaking take it home with her? Why did she leave? She made it very clear at the beginning of the episode to Seema, it's like, don't touch my shoes. Nobody touches my shoes. Okay, but that really important photo to you that was on Big's side of the bed that you remember him touching all the time and petting, why would he be petting a freaking photo of you when he had you in his bed every night? You were in a lockdown for over a year together. So it's kind of bizarre to envision Big laying next to Carrie, and instead of hugging her, he's caressing the glass of the photo. That's like, I mean, he's just turning more and more into a weird, like, I envision him as some sort of weird dog. But anyway, Seema by accident broke that photo, the glass, and she said, no, the photo is intact. It's not scratched, just the glass is broken. And then, of course, Carrie goes ballistic on her. You're so insensitive. And you said that your workers could even, like, transport Pablo Picasso paintings. She's like, yeah, my workers didn't do this. It was my accident. I made it fall. I'm sorry. She's like, yeah, you're acting like it's all good. Like, nye, 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 nye. Oh my God, Carrie. I just wanted to slap her in that moment. And then Seema says, no, I'm not that person. Just like, probably you're not that bitch that told me it's not too late. I should, good that I'm still out there looking for love in all the wrong places. And Carrie says, I didn't mean it that way. And then Seema said, but that's how I perceived it. And then Carrie had a learning moment. And just like that, she understood what a bitch she is. I don't know what she understood. She didn't understand shit. I'm sure she's going to be just as stupid in episode 5. But she has her moment where she's like, oh, educational moment. I got ya. Want some sushi? They could have bonded in a better way. There could have been a better way for them. Like, because at the beginning of the episode, again, when she's talking to Miranda about Seema, Miranda says, should I be worried? You're becoming besties now? Are you going to leave me? Are you going to abandon me forever? Oh my God, I'm at home. I'm going to drink some more. Carrie says, no. And then she drops another terrible joke, like with was he too Tinder? She said, something like, Miranda's like, are you real friends? And then she said, no, it's not real. It's just real estate. And I was like, oh God, ugh. The cringe of it all. More power to Sarah Jessica Parker for accepting, because she's like the boss of that show, being an executive producer. She could have told them, bitches, rewrite this shit. This is cringe AF. But she accepted it. So you would think she really liked it the way it was. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm like, wow. Double cringe, because it means, she can't blame the writers because she has power over them. She's an executive producer of the show. She could have just told the writers, bitch, go back to the writing room and rewrite me this because this ain't it. Zonzoo it. Now, another elephant in the room, Stanford, the way they wrote him out of the show. I know that they were in the middle of production. They were shooting, filming. And then Willie passed away. Unfortunately, may he rest in peace. You got to act quick. You got to reshoot some scenes. You got to make a very quick decision about how to write the character out of the show. Now, the way that they decided to write him out of the show was his famous TikToker represented because he represents them. He's his manager or something, or her manager. TikToker, big in Japan. Said, Stanford, come with me to Japan on a tour. Help me, blah, 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 blah. Stanford said, yeah, I'm going to go. Left Carrie a note. And then also left his husband a note saying, I want a divorce. I mean, I get it. It would have been more respectful if they actually acknowledged him passing away. But I also understand why they didn't do it, because they just had a huge passing away moment at the beginning of the show with Big dying. Having another death in episode 4, it's a little bit much for the show, for the pacing of the show. And the show is already pacing tragically. So how respectful can you get? You can't really, I think it would have been detrimental to the show having another funeral in episode 4, honestly. Just for the pacing. But, my reaction of Stanford leaving was so dull and mundane. Yes, Carrie, you should be ashamed of yourself. Carrie Bradshaw says, some love stories aren't epic novels. Some are short stories. Right, but they don't have to be dumb ones just because they're short. Sam says, I just thought the photo scene seems strange to suddenly be about how Carrie had talked to Seema. Yeah, it's just about like they made that. They were like, how do we make these characters bond as fast as we can? Literally. So they're like, okay, Seema's going to break a photo that was like super important for Big and Carrie. And like Carrie's going to be super upset. And they're like, then Seema's gonna be super upset because Carrie said that she's like an old bitch, and then like they're gonna make up and eat sushi, and like they're for real gonna become real friends, like real, like for real. And I was like, oof. Again, super lazy, super lazy. I'm Louis says I have a feeling that this would be the only season. It kind of does feel like this thing is gonna. Oof. Because honestly, I was thinking, I was so excited for episode 4. I thought episode 4 is going to deliver because now we got the big situation out of the way. Now we can go into some juicy stuff. Carrie's going to gain her voice again, her off-screen voice that C. Lala pointed out. Thank you so much, sweetie. C. Lala, credit where credit is due. She reminded me, she's like, I pointed it out. Thank you. It was C. Lala who pointed it out to me that her voice is missing, her off-screen voice. It just comes at the end of every episode when she says, and just like that, and then she says something stupid. But yeah, I was hoping episode 4, she's in her old apartment, yay. And even the cringe little tutu outfit was also like, okay, old school Carrie, feeling her oats. New day, new mornings, it's gonna be fabulous. And instead it just becomes depressing. I mean, the only kind of zhuzhy moment was when she started smoking again with Seema in the car. I was like, ooh, they're going there. She had her ciggy. She going in the ciggy vibe. She's a ciggy, miggy, viggy, majiggy, viggy, bliggy, 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 bliggy. And like, okay, let's do this. Let's go there. So politically incorrect. That cigarette moment was literally the only politically incorrect moment of the show. So of course we lived for it. Like, we need more of those politically incorrect moments. That's what Sex and the City was all about back in the day. However, the showrunners did state very clearly, like, you guys, this is not Sex and the City. It's not called Sex and the City. It's not called Sex and the City for a reason, because it's not Sex and the City. This is a show written for these 3 characters. Sex and the City is a show written for 4 characters. These 3, this is not Sex and the City. This is And Just Like That. But in fact, after episode 4, I can tell you this, to me, the series should be called And Just Like That, it wasn't Sex and the City anymore. And then also, And Just Like That, episode 4 made me dislike the show. And I hate myself for saying this, but and I'm fine with all the wokeness, with them trying to acknowledge all of this stuff and bringing in all the gender fluid characters, people of color, everything. I have no problem with any of that. I just have a problem with how they're doing it. It's just so forced and just so cringe. It's like painful to watch. And then the whole podcast moment with the lady in the wheelchair yelling at them like crazy because she has this weird relationship with the other comedic guy who's there. And then, the audio technician, who we still think that Carrie's going to have a little something with, right? They gave him a 1-liner or 2-liner this time, and he's kind of in there just for a second, leaves. But there's no flirting going on between him and Carrie, so I'm starting to think, like, why bring him even in if by episode 4 they're still not flirty at all? The whole podcast thing is just so useless and senseless. You guys, I really... It's like, how can you make it so bad? I mean, they actually paid people to invent these storylines and to make them this cringe, because you might think it's easy to make something this bad. It's not easy to make something this bad. You have to really brainstorm to make something this bad. And that's what's scary to me, that this was brainstormed, that this went through a ton of rewriting, that they really kind of signed off on this and said, okay, yeah, this is it. This is the good one. Who in their right mind would think that this is the... Honestly, Henry says, when the audio guy agreed with Carrie about city bikes triggering her, I knew then and there they're going to sleep together. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I told you from the first episode, because that camera panned over him half a second longer than it should have, and he had to smile in the camera and get his little beauty shot. I knew, okay, there you go. Somebody's love interest, probably Carrie's. Jack says, I would have preferred Carrie to be a talk show host by now, not on some crappy podcast. Yeah, it does feel like a little bit Loserville. Steven says, sorry, I was watching some of Dacob's old videos, lol. Oh, Steven, this is interesting. It happens a lot during my live streams. I go and check in live, in what should I call it? In live time. Live time? What's it called? While I'm live streaming, I check my comment section and I see people are watching and commenting on my videos while I'm live streaming. I'm like, why don't you just watch the live stream? I mean, I don't know. A lot of people don't know because, again, YouTube is not letting people know. There's something wrong with YouTube. Even if people have their notifications turned on, a lot of the times they don't get notified that I'm live streaming, and then they write me later like, Dacob, I didn't know. And I was like, oh my gosh, YouTube again. I wish they drop everyone from the podcast, says Sam. I wish they would just drop the podcast, honestly, at this point. Like, seriously. That Anxious One says, I have to admit, I have enjoyed the ride so far. Despite some cringe moments, I do have to say with Charlotte, though, that was criticism of performative activism. Ah, that's interesting. Criticism of performative activism. Oof, complex topic. Jack says, I can't even remember the podcast guy's face. Not memorable. Didn't notice him talking in that scene. He's one of those cliche guys with a horse face. I do not know when in time. This is a very politically incorrect, very Sex and the City moment. A very Sex and the City moment. Samantha Jones is back. And let me tell you, when in time did these horse face model looking types become the symbol of male handsomeness and beauty? I for the love of me, who decided that these elongated faces are a symbol of extreme masculine beauty? Because to me, it's gag inducing. Not that gag, the one that actually makes you barf. And who made that a thing? When did that start becoming a thing? I can't. Anyway. City bikes are my mortal enemy, says Carrie Bradshaw. Mine too, darling. Henry said, not because I love a good bicycle, but not city bikes. Henry says, city bikes and Manolos don't go hand in hand, darling, but they go foot on foot. That's a little cringe joke that Carrie could have said. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? The metrosexual, says Jack. So Vintage says, hi everyone, happy holidays, Super Dacob. Thank you so much, The Vintage. Hello, happy holidays to you too. Sam says, the only real chemistry is between Carrie and Seema. I didn't feel it, Sam. I didn't feel it. I did not feel that. Who did I feel? This is a good question. Who did we feel good chemistry between? I think it's still the three girls. They still have the best chemistry between them. I think in the first episode where Carrie and Miranda talk about Samantha when they're walking outside of the building, that was a moment for me that worked. Anyway. Steven says, oh my God, I just sprayed my Chanel number 5. I feel so alive. Way to go, sweetie. Emily says, well, I might not have a horse face, but... yeah, there you go. Bananas in the house, y'alls. Julie says, the show has gone on diversity overload. Seems way too forced to me. It is a little bit, right? Cynthia and the professor. I think, you know what? Yes, okay, another thing I gotta note, a lot of channels on YouTube are criticizing Cynthia Nixon's acting. They say that she's so bad at acting. I think she's a wonderful actress. I think her speech that she delivered at the dinner table with her professor when they went on dinner, when they had dinner together, I think was beautifully delivered. The facial mimic worked, the pauses, the silences, how she delivered, motherhood, talking about mother having it all. It was delicately delivered it was tactile. She's a great actress. So don't come for Cynthia Nixon. She has comedic timing and she has depth at the same time. She was wonderful. So what I want to say is, do they have chemistry between them? I don't feel too much chemistry between Cynthia, between Miranda and her teacher. But because both actresses, and I've seen the other actress as well, I don't know her name, in the morning show, also wonderful. And she's completely different in the morning show, which just shows you how much talent she has and how great she is as an actress. I enjoyed her very much in the morning show, and I'm enjoying her very much in And Just Like That. But because they're both really good at their acting, the chemistry also works because they know how to deliver. The chemistry between Miranda and Che, non-existent in my opinion. And this has to do a little bit with the fact that Che is not the best actor, in my opinion. Che doesn't really deliver very well. What do you guys have to say about that? Maybe it's just the good acting that I'm noticing. Yeah, Kate, it's wonderful acting. Cynthia and the other lady, both wonderful. Jack says, you can have it all. It's just really hard. Yeah, when she said that, you really believe it. You know it's true. It's honest. But she's a great actress, says VJ Loves. She had a small part in Amadeus, and I never forgot her after seeing that film long before Sex and the City. Yeah, and I've seen photos of Cynthia Nixon and Sarah Jessica Parker where they were like, even before teenagers, already acting together. So they've been like this since they were little tiny kids, and they look so cute. I mean, Sarah Jessica Parker, not so cute, but Cynthia Nixon, when she was young, tiny, oh my gosh. Such a cutie. She could have been not Carrie Bradshaw, Stephen King's Carrie. Sissy Spacek, she had that type of beauty, that type of Sissy Spacek type of beauty. She could have been Stephen King's Carrie. Yeah, Che's cringe, says Sam, right? Yeah, Jack says, Che's full of ego, and I can't tell if it's the actor or the character. I'm also confused about that. I think there's a lot of something is very aggressive about that person, which kind of always pushes me away instead of luring me in. And it has nothing to do with the gender fluidity because, girl, who are you talking to? It's the ego. I agree with you, Jack. Kate says, yeah, Cynthia looked cute. She did, right? Oh, she played in Addams Family too. I have to rewatch Addams Family too. I haven't watched it in years. But so anyway, the episode ends with Carrie saying, what did she say? And just like that, we became real friends? No. Yeah, it wasn't. Carrie, what did you say? How did you end the show? Carrie, how did you end the show? How did you end the show? Why can't you end the show? Little Lucille Ball moment, Lucy, why can't I be in this show? Ricky, why can't I be in this show? Carrie, how did you end the show? The restaurant scene felt the first time Miranda was really back. Yeah, Sam. Cynthia was wonderful in that. Dressed terribly, but acting was on fleek. You guys, can somebody write me? How did she end the show? What did she say? And just like that, something, we became real friends? Oh, you're looking it up? All right. Yeah, I want to play the Jeopardy music while we're waiting. Da, 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 da. Oh, and just like that. Oh, really, Louie? Is that what she said? And just like that, a new friendship began. Oh, I gotta say though, I still love Carrie's voice a lot. Whenever Sarah Jessica talks on screen, there's something so warm and deep and serious, but also ditzy about her voice at the same time. That voice is, it's a good voice. It's a good voice. Carrie Bradshaw says Queen. I cannot remember. Carrie Bradshaw is drunk. Yeah, but I think, Louis, you're right. It's something like, and just like that, a new friendship began. Whatever. But my ending of episode 4 was like, and just like that, I hate the show. But I'm still looking forward to episode 5. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Let me know if you want me to do more of these review videos of And Just Like That, or should we, and just like that, call it a day? Let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Thumb up the video and subscribe. Love you. Bye.